Warm welcome to all the students for this lecture. Today we shall see how JDBC enables us to connect a Java application to a database. May it be a MySQL database, may it be a Oracle database, or may it be something like MS Access database. So let's explore this. JDBC is a phrase that is used to specify Java database connectivity. Now in Java it's an interface, okay. This interface is incorporated in Java, and this is used with API, application program interface, which is on one end, and dataset or database on the other hand. So you have your Java API, you have your database, right? Now when we talk about Java API, these are different API available in Java. For example, Java Swing, Java FX, okay, all are the different types of APIs. So if you want to connect a Java API, or simple, if you want to connect a form or a window, okay, to a database, so that you can store the data into the database, you can retrieve the data from the database and so on. To do this, they have come up with something called a JDBC, okay, that is Java Database Connectivity. So JDBC is basically a bridge between the Java API and the database. It is used to link an application written in Java language in any platform, that is operating system such as Windows, Unix, Fedora and many others, right? So API can be written on any operating systems. You may write Java API programs on Windows, Unix, Fedora, different flavors of Linux in general, okay. And you can have any databases at the backend. For example, you can have your Oracle database, you can have your MySQL database, any database at the backend. So JDBC is basically an API service that is given by the Java, so that no matter what Java API it is, no matter what database it is, it will always help you to establish the connection between the APIs with the database. JDBC drivers implement the defined interfaces in JDBC API for interacting with your database server. Example, JDBC drivers, they enable you to open a database connection and to interact with it by sending SQL or general DBMS commands and receiving the results and showing the results on the Java API screen. Now if you want to use this JDBC, there is a package called a java.sql package that is already shipped with JDK, and this package, it contains various classes, okay, with different implementations for the drivers of the third party. So basically we will have to import java.sql.star statement, right? Now third party vendors implement java.sql.driver interface in their database driver. This backend can be any database like MS Access, Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL Server and so on. JDBC allows any Java program to execute SQL statements and retrieve results, modify data and delete the data. Now there are different Java APIs that are available that can be linked to databases using your JDBC. When we talk about core Java, okay, it is basically the Java Standard Edition or Java SE that you install, okay, which supports Java Application and Java Applet. And Advanced Java or Java Enterprise Edition, which is extension to the J2SE, it supports more server-side technologies like servlets, Java Server Pages, Enterprise Java Beans. All these are basically different Java APIs which are available. All can be linked to various databases using this JDBC API. Let's see the JDBC architecture. Now before seeing the JDBC architecture, JDBC API, remember that it is defined based on whether the machine architecture is 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier or n tier architectures, depending on the servers, okay, where database generally resides and the client programs. Now before we actually see the JDBC architecture, For those who don't know what is 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, let us just have a quick glance about what is this 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier and n tier. 1 tier architecture, also known as single tier architecture, is software architecture in which the required components of working of the application, they are under the same package, right? So what it means is, all the different components which are required for the software development, okay, all of them, they are present under the same package. So this is called as 1 tier architecture. 2 tier architecture is the one in which the user interface layer and the database layer, they are located in two different machines, right? That means unlike 1 tier architecture, database as well as the client technology that you are going to use, they don't reside anymore on the same machine, unlike your 1 tier architecture. In 2 tier architecture, your client application is on one machine or various machines, and your database, it resides, or data source, it resides somewhere else remotely. Okay, so this means your client and the server are not same on the same computer, right? Whereas in 1 tier architecture, your client server both are actually in the same computer, right? That's 1 tier architecture. 2 tier architecture in which your database source, data source is on a remote machine, and your client applications are on different machine, client machines. Now 3 tier architecture is an extension of this. Unlike 2 tier architecture, here there are two servers, okay? So as you can see here, you have an application server and you have a data source. Okay, so there is one server for database and there is a separate server called as web server, and you have your client machine. Now this 3 tier application is the one wherein, suppose say there is a website, right? Now the website, the folders containing the code of the website, web pages, they reside on your web server, okay, which is at a remote place. Okay, now you are a client, so on your machine you are going to use the browser and you are going to type the address of that particular website, right, on the client machine. Whereas website, if it requires some database information, okay, the database or the data source, it does not exist on the web server, it exists on another server, that is a remote server, which is a database server. So this is kind of 3 tier architecture. You have client application on one machine, you have a web server or application server on one machine, and data source or database is on the third machine. Okay, so one server is for business layer here and the other is for database layer, that is here. So this is a 3 tier architecture. And n tier is nothing but it is just continuation of this 3 tier architecture, where you will have more layers. Okay, but we restrict our discussion to 1 layer, 2 layer and 3 layer. I mean 1 tier, 2 tier and 3 tier architecture. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to tell you that JDBC API is designed based on what kind of architecture it should support. Okay, now JDBC API, what is it? It basically gives a strong link between Java application and JDBC. And then there is also JDBC driver API that gives the connectivity between the JDBC and the driver. Okay, I'll just show you this with an example. You have your Java application that is written using, say, Java Swing or Java FX, or let's say using some other API. So you have your Java application. You have the driver. Now what is this driver? Each database vendor, they have a driver, okay, that if the application wants to use a database, then they have to somehow get connected to this driver of the vendor, right? Now this is our JDBC, the topic under discussion, JDBC. Now JDBC, it has a JDBC driver API, and this driver API, JDBC driver API, it manages the connection between JDBC and the local vendor, the driver that is supplied by the local database vendor. Okay, so the connection between that local vendor's driver and JDBC is done using JDBC driver API. And now further, there is a JDBC API. Okay, what JDBC API does, it tries to link the JDBC with the Java application. So this is how Java application can use a database by connecting it to the vendor's driver. Okay, so this is how, this is a JDBC and it uses a JDBC API and JDBC driver API. Now drivers are previously installed in the computer for providing link to different databases. Now there is a class called as driver manager class. Now this driver manager class, it defines different drivers for multiple data sources. This driver manager, it supports many simultaneous drivers connected to different assorted databases. Let's see the core components of JDBC. So this is your JDBC application, right? Now you see to the extreme end, let's say you have a MySQL database, you have an Oracle particular version X database. So you have MySQL database and say Oracle database. Now each of these databases, they have the local vendor driver, database driver that is supplied by the local vendor. Microsoft vendor will supply this driver, MySQL vendor will supply this driver, and Oracle vendor will supply this driver. So these are the database drivers. Now driver manager class, okay, which is a subclass of a driver class, okay, this driver manager class has the information regarding all the possible drivers which are available in the market of different vendors, different databases. So it is this driver manager class, okay, that establishes the connection between the application with the database, okay, by connecting to the vendor's drivers. So driver manager has the definition and the information of all the various drivers supplied by the local database vendors. Driver manager class, it resides under java.sql package and is defined as the primary component of JDBC. So it basically organizes the database drivers, it loads all the drivers of different databases, it performs the selection of suitable database driver based on what database you are going to link when a new connection is recognized. Now we have different types of JDBC drivers. JDBC driver implementation, it varies because one, we have wide variety of operating systems and each operating system will have a different variation of this JDBC driver. Second, we have different hardware platforms in which Java operates. Okay, so because of different various variety of operating system on which Java operates, because Java also operates on various different hardware platforms, and that's why we require different types of JDBC drivers. Now Sun, it has divided the implementation type into 4 categories: type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. So let us briefly see what are the different types of JDBC drivers. Type 1 driver is called a JDBC ODBC bridge driver. In this driver, the JDBC bridge is created to access ODBC drivers installed on different client machines. Now let us consider an example of our Windows machine. Okay, so in Microsoft Windows there is a Open Database Connection or ODBC driver, okay, that Microsoft has supplied so that any local database that is installed on your Windows can be connected using this particular driver, right? So basically there is ODBC driver that Microsoft supplies. Okay, it is Open Database Connection driver. But to link a Java application to that particular database in Windows, what will happen is your Java application has to be linked, right? So there has to be a bridge that connects the ODBC driver that is in turn connected to your local database and to the JDBC driver, because anyways Java recommends that any Java app can connect to the database only through JDBC. So now what you require is a JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, so configuration of data source name or DSN in the system, it basically defines the target database by the means of ODBC. So what this JDBC ODBC bridge driver does is it receives any JDBC calls and it sends them to ODBC. We will just see the diagram and check. So this is your client machine and this is the server where your database resides. So this is your JDBC ODBC bridge driver that is installed on the client machine. Now what it does is it receives any JDBC calls and sends them to ODBC driver. So now let's say this is the JDBC ODBC driver. Okay, it wants to connect to the database on the server machine. So it interacts with ODBC driver, okay, which is supplied by Microsoft. ODBC driver in turn communicates with the local vendor's database library, and local vendor database library has methods to access the database in turn. So what JDBC ODBC bridge driver does is it receives any JDBC calls and then it sends them to ODBC driver. Now ODBC driver understands these calls and then it communicates with the database library provided by the vendor. So this ODBC driver and the vendor database library, they must be present on the client machine. So this is a very important thing. So whenever you are going to use JDBC ODBC bridge driver, apart from this particular bridge driver, the vendor's database library as well as the ODBC driver installation has to be done on the client machine, and only then this particular driver can be used. Okay. So basically there is a bridge that is happening. See, usually any database is getting connected by using ODBC driver. Java, it stresses upon something called as JDBC driver. So you have JDBC ODBC bridge driver. So this JDBC calls are accepted by ODBC. ODBC understands the calls and then it sends it to vendor DB library. Vendor DB library has different methods that calls this particular database server and does the particular processing. Whatever is the call, it tries to process the call. So this is the JDBC ODBC bridge driver, a type 1 type of driver. Type 2 driver, it is called a JDBC native API. So in this type 2, what it does is it converts the JDBC calls into database specific calls with the help of vendor library. Okay, so I'll just show you this figure. So you have your client machine on which the native API that is type 2 driver, native API partly Java driver is installed. So what this driver does it converts whatever are the JDBC calls, it converts them directly to the database specific calls. Okay, and to do that it uses this vendor DB library. Then it directly communicates to the database server using this vendor library commands. Okay, therefore it requires that some binary code be present on the client machine. Okay, so this is your JDBC native API. Third, let's see the third type of driver, and that is called a JDBC NetPure Java driver. So as you can see here, this is your client machine. You have a server machine which is a middleware server, and you have your database machine which is a database server. So this kind of driver type 3 is used when we have 3-tier approach to access the databases. Now how it does? Now JDBC databases, JDBC databases requests are passed through the network to the middle tier server. So whatever are the JDBC database requests which are there, this driver passes those requests through the network to the middleware server. Example of the middleware server could be net server. Now what this middle tier or middleware server does is it translates this request to the database specific library and then sends it to the database server. Then database server will execute the request and finally it will send the result back. So in simple words, the type 3 or JDBC NetPure Java driver, what it does is it simply whatever are the JDBC database requests, searching something on the database, inserting, deleting something on the database, all these requests, JDBC requests, they are passed to the database server through the middleware. Okay, now what this middleware server does is it translates these requests, specific requests, into the database specific library commands, and then it sends it to the database server. Now database server already has received the database specific commands. So it simply has to execute the request and give back the result. So this is the type 3 JDBC NetPure Java driver. And finally we have type 4, that is 100% pure Java driver. Now what this driver does is, see, this is your client machine and this NetPure Java driver, that is 100% pure Java driver, is installed on the client machine. Whereas you have a server machine on which your database server is present. Now what this driver NetPure Java driver or 100% pure Java driver type 4 does is, this driver, it converts all the JDBC calls into the vendor specific DBMS protocol so that the client application can directly communicate to the database server. There is no middleware here. Okay, so this driver, it converts the JDBC calls into DBMS specific protocol calls, so that the client can directly communicate with the database server. Okay, now please note, this level 4 drivers are completely implemented in Java. Okay, so that it achieves independence, platform independence, and also it eliminates some deployment and administration related issues. Okay, now when we are going to write our programs to connect to the Java database, we are going to use this driver. Okay, we are going to use MySQL's Connect J driver, which is a type 4 driver. The version that we are going to use is MySQL's Connect J 8.0. Now next is how to find out which driver we should use. Now, if any one type of database is accessed, for example only say Oracle is accessed or only MySQL is accessed, then we usually prefer this driver type 4. Okay. Now if in many applications, if multiple types of databases are accessed at the same time, for example Oracle database as well as the MySQL database or MS Access database, they are parallelly accessed at the same time, in that case we prefer type 3 driver. Now if type 3 or type 4 drivers, they are not available for a particular database, then we use type 2 drivers in such situations. And the type 1 driver is basically used for development and testing purposes only, since it is not considered as deployment level driver. Now when we write a code, okay, to connect to the database in Java, okay, there are some components. So there is something called as connection. Connection interface, it contains the concept of admission of recognition in the database. So what connection interface does is, it basically is used to connect to the database. Okay, database recognizes the connection and the connection is established. So the drive manager which is there, a class called as drive manager, which we have already seen, it implements this connection interface. So this drive manager is the class that we are going to use to establish the connection between the database and the application. Now a connection object is obtained using getConnection function call. So your driver manager, it has an implementation, or it has a code for this getConnection method, right? So let's see the syntax. We create connection object con equal to, I told you driver manager is a class that implements the connection interface, so we are going to use driver manager dot get connection method, right? Get connection method is overridden by this driver manager. Actually get connection method is specified in the interface called as connection interface, but since driver manager implement this connection interface, driver manager has definition of this get connection method, and this get connection method has the code pertaining to the connection with the database. So in general the syntax is con is the connection string equal to driver manager dot get connection, and get connection method takes 3 parameters. One is the URL of the database that you want to connect, second is the username of that database, and third is the password of that particular database. Next is statement. Now once the connection is established to the database, next is you are going to give some statements to the database, okay, to perform some queries. So these are called as statements. So there is an interface called as statement interface that defines in general a construct to run different SQL statements. It implements result set object also to show the resultant data set. See, whenever a query is fired on the database, ultimately what you obtained is some result, okay, which could be some columns, some rows, whatever. So result set is a class. So the object of this result set class, okay, it can be used to show this resultant data set. Now every object in the statement interface, it contains one result set object. Now there is a method called as execute, okay, in the statement interface, which closes its contemporary resultant data set if it is previously opened. Now statements are of different types. So statement is of type, say, prepared statement. There is also something called as callable statement. So statement interface, it has dedicated sub interfaces which are called as prepared statement interface and callable statement interface. Okay, as we proceed, we are going to see what is this prepared statement interface and what is the use of callable statement interface. At this moment, please understand that the statement interface has dedicated sub interfaces. One is called as prepared statement, other is called as callable statement. A statement object is created by using create statement method. So whenever we are going to create a statement so that the query can be given to the database, then we are going to write this, or we are going to call this create statement method. So the syntax of this statement is statement stmt equal to con. What is con? Con is basically the connection string that we had established in the previous slide. Okay, con dot create statement. So create statement method is going to create a statement for this connection, for this database connection, whose URL, username and password we have just defined in the previous slide. Now this is just an example. Let's say this is a database table that we have. Employee EMP is the table. Table has two fields. One is EID, that is employee ID, and the name of the employee, ename. Both are of type string. Okay, now we are going to use this for the example. Before that, just see, the statement can be executed for the retrieval of the data set based on the result set using execute query method. So this execute query method is the one where you have to specify what query it is, select query or insert query and so on. Okay, so it will execute that query, so query will be fired on the database and the result will be then stored in the result set. Now, whenever we fire a query onto the database, say select star, that means it may not give you only one tuple. Okay, the result might consist of more than one tuples based on what query you are giving. Okay, so as a result, this particular execute query, when it is fired onto the database, the result which is there, okay, this result, the tuples of the result, okay, they will be, one after the other, they will be returned. So this can be repeatedly done until and unless end of file is encountered. Just a small syntax. So I am trying to fetch the result from the database. Assuming that I have already established a connection to the database, result set res. So this res object will store the result after the query is fired from the database. Now what I am doing, stmt, that is statement dot execute query method, I am calling. Execute query method will give this query and it will execute the query on the database. And what is the query? I am selecting everything from employee table. So when I say select star from EMP, if this employee table contains, say, 10 employees details, so if there are 10 rows or 10 tuples, you can say, this select query, okay, this will return all the 10 rows or all the 10 tuples, right? Now, res object, okay, is going to the result of this particular query, that is 10 tuples, one after the other, each tuple will be returned to res. So I am just making sure that we still have some results that is to be printed. Okay, so while res.next is true, that means while there are more results which are being retrieved from the database, because there are 10 entries, while this is true, I am printing each result record with respect to its employee ID and employee name. Now notice that get string is a method. Okay, notice that EID and ename, both these columns in the table, we have defined them as string arguments, and that's why I am writing here it is get string. If they were integer, then I would have written a method here get int. If they were float, I would have written here get float, and so on. So in general, this method is called as get xx method, where xx specifies whatever data type that you want to retrieve from the database. Okay, so first thing what you are going to do, this line, what it does, it executes the query, that is select star from employee table. It executes this query and it returns the result into the res object. Now the result that is returned, it may not be one tuple, it may be more than one tuple, maybe 10 tuples example. So now this while loop I have written, this while loop will execute till there are more tuples that are to be still printed as a result, right? So while res.next, that means while there are more tuples which are being retrieved, while this is true, for each of these tuple that is retrieved, I am simply printing the employee ID and the employee name for that particular tuple values by using getString method here. So I am saying res.getString EID, it will print employee ID, res.getString ename, it will print ename. Now this EID and ename are nothing but they are the names of the columns of that particular table. Fine. So the above example, it selects all the tuples from the employee table defined EMP, and I have just told you res.next method, it returns true until and unless it reaches end of file and false otherwise. So when it will reach end of file, when there are no more records that are retrieved by that particular query, right? So this while loop will execute 10 times, assuming that there are 10 tuples which are retrieved by this particular query. So 10 times this will execute, and on the 11th time, since there are no more tuples which are to be retrieved, this will give you end of file. I mean, this will give you false once you reach the end of the file. Now, as I have told you, statement is of it has sub interfaces. One is called as prepared statement, second one is called as callable statement. Let's start with prepared statement. So as I have said, prepared statement, it remains under the statement interface as a sub interface. Now what this prepared statement does, the main task of this prepared statement is that it uses compilation beforehand. Okay. So suppose there are some SQL statements that are compiled beforehand and which contain some parameters. So this pre-compiled or compilation which is done beforehand, those kind of queries, SQL statements can be fired by using something called as prepared statement. So prepared statement uses compilation beforehand, and hence execution procedure of the prepared statement is comparably faster than the statement interface. Why? Since the prepared statement is already prepared for execution from before. So this is a syntax. So prepared statement PS empty. This is a object of prepared statement equal to connection string con dot prepared statement, and here I am just writing insert into employee table values. And what are the values? The first value is 1010. Okay. Insert into the employee table values, okay, 1010 comma 1. Okay. Now if you see this particular employee table, see EID and ename, there are only two columns. So it is said here insert into employee values 1010 comma 1. So this one here, it tells you that this one is nothing but you are telling that please insert a value called as 1010 in column number 1. What is column number 1? So in place of EID for that tuple, you will see 1010. Okay. Now once you prepare a statement like this, okay, so you are inserting one value in that tuple. So this one tells you which column. So in the first column you want to insert 1010. So that is employee ID, and once you are doing that, then you are using execute update method. So this execute update method will do what? Whatever prepared statement that you have created of inserting 1010 in the first column, that prepared statement will be executed, okay, using execute update. So after executing this particular method, you will see that in database 1010 or in database table called as EMP, 1010 appears as EID in that particular tuple. Further, now we have inserted EID. We have to also insert ename for that tuple, right? So then again I write prepared statement PSTMT, prepared statement equal to connection dot prepared statement, and now I am saying insert into EMP values Sachin comma 2. That means in the second column, which is nothing but employee name column, you please insert something called as Sachin. and then again you are saying pstm.execute update. So after preparing statements and after firing this onto database, what you will see is, you will see one record being created where employee ID is 1010 and employee name is Sachin. So this is basically the use of prepared statement interface. Prepared statement has a set of setxx functions. Now we have already seen setString. I also spoke about setInt. Okay, so in general that function or method is called as setxx, where xx specifies the data type of the value that is being inserted or that is being found out. Okay, so prepared statement has set of setxx functions, 2 along with the parameters. Okay, now just see this code here. I am writing here prepared statement pstmt connection string dot prepare statement. Now here I am saying insert into employee table values question mark comma question mark. That means some values we have to insert, but which values, that we are specifying next. So next I am writing pstmt dot set string. So it is set xx, but notice that in the table, since both these parameters are string, first column, that is employee ID, also the data type is string. Second column, that is employee name, its data type is also string. So since both are string, okay, I am using set string for both. So first statement does what? pstmt dot set string 1,1010. That means in the first column, which is for employee ID, please insert 1010 value. And then I am writing pstmt dot set string in the second column of that same tuple, enter value as Sachin. And after calling this set string methods n number of times based on how many columns are there for that particular tuple, finally I use I call execute update method. This execute update method will update whatever entries that are made on the database table. So suppose in your table there were say 3 columns, then you would have written here pstmt.setString for the first column whatever value, for the second column whatever value, and for third column also whatever value, and only then you call this execute update method. So in setString you must have realized that the index starts from 1 here. It does not start from 0, it starts from 1, then 2 and so on. It means the first attribute or first column of the table, and it should not start with 0. This cannot start with 0, it is 1, because it is 1 means first column. Then the setxx methods like set string. So if the value that is involved with the column is a string, like what we have seen, we use set string. Suppose the value is int, then we use set int. So these methods, they should be called prior to calling the execute update method. So all the possible set methods, setxx methods, all of them they have to be called, and the values to be inserted are to be specified, and only after finalizing all the values which are to be inserted in all columns, only then execute update method should be called. Only then the updates will be reflected onto the table, the tuple of the table. So this is basically something called as prepared statement, where you define the SQL statement that are actually compiled beforehand along with the parameters. Next is a callable statement. We just saw that callable is another sub interface. So basically callable inherits the properties of prepared statement. Okay, this callable interface, it inherits the properties of prepared statement. So prepared statement is a super class of this particular callable, and it includes the method suitable for procedure calls. Okay, hence the callable statement is used to run the SQL procedures. Fine. So callable statement is basically defined for running the procedures in SQL or in PL, SQL and so on, which contain the input and output parameters. This callable statement interface is used to call the stored procedures and functions. Okay. Now we can have business logic on the database by the use of stored procedures and functions. That will make the performance better because they are pre-compiled. Just an example. Suppose we need to get the age of employee based on the birth date. Then you may create a function that receives the date as input and returns the age of the employee as output. So this function can be written and used by callable statement. So there is a method called as prepare call method. So this prepared call method of connection interface, it returns the instance of callable statement. The syntax of this callable statement is public callable statement, okay, prepare call. Now prepare call is the method name, okay, prepare call is the method name that basically creates, or it returns the instance of callable statement, and within this method prepare call you are giving as parameter call to the user defined procedure that you have written along with the parameters. Let's see the example. When I say callable statement stmt equal to con connection string dot prepare call, and I am saying call my procedure question mark question mark. What is my procedure? My procedure is a small function or method that I have written, which contains code, which is actually pre-compiled code. Okay, syntax. Just see, callable statement call stmt equal to connection string dot prepare call, and then I am calling the method that I have written called as modify question mark comma question mark. Okay, then using the setXX method, now notice that all the parameters eid and ename both are string. So I am saying call statement dot set string 1010 comma 1. That means you please set this string value, that is 1010, in column 1 in place of eid. Then I am saying call statement dot register output parameters. By using this method called as register output parameter, we are specifying in this particular method that we have defined called as modify method, what is the output parameter, what the method will give as output. So the output parameter here is third column value, which is java.sql.types.number, whose data type is a number. That will be the output. Then after this code, then I will say call statement dot execute query, right, and then system dot out dot println call stmt dot get string 1. Now result set interface, it provides a data set in form of a table. It is given as output of the resultant data by implementing a SQL query or SQL statement within a JDBC program. So if I say select a star from EMP where name equal to John, so it will retrieve only that data set wherein the name happens to be John. It will return the entire tuple. After returning, where it is going to store? It is going to store this return tuple value into the object of result set interface. So result set interface, it defines an iterative process based on rs.next method. It returns false if the end of file is reached, otherwise it returns true. As an example, suppose I fire this query on the database. Okay, I am saying result set res equal to statement.execute query. So I am executing this query. What is the query? Select eid, ename, esalary, edepartment. So I want to select, that means I want to show the values of employee ID, employee name, employee salary and employee department from employee. Okay, so select means it is going to select and it is going to show what are the values of eid, ename, salary, department name from EMP. So once this is done, you will have multiple rows that will be actually written, right? So now each row has to be printed. So what I do, I am using a while loop here and I am saying while res.next, that means while the result set object res has more values to retrieve, or there are more values which are still to be printed based on how many tuples are returned. Okay, while this is true, I am simply printing system.out.print res.getString ename. So I am printing ename, employee name, okay, and there is a closing bracket. So it will print the names of all the employees where eid, ename and esalary are specified. Now row ID Row ID defines the memory location on which a row or data set is stored. It returns the address of a row. It spots a row in a database uniquely. Row ID is basically built-in data type in JDBC, and it is particularly used during the returning of the address of a row. Just a syntax. While result set.next, that means there are more tuples to be retrieved. You print, just see system.out.format. So this is the formatting string, %s, so string values, res.getString, attribute name. Okay. Now in this example, it is using Oracle database. So oracle.sql.rowid. Okay, row ID is present in oracle.sql. Row ID equal to, we are doing the typecasting here because the value here it should be of type row ID. Res.get row ID attribute name, and then you are simply printing row ID. Now SQL exception methods. SQL exception crops up when some conditional mismatch occurs either in the driver or in the database itself. If this type of exception crops up, an object of SQL exception is cascaded as input to the catch block. The following methods are some basic common exceptions that are handled for getting information from the thrown exception. One is get message method, which retrieves the error message of the driver for an error or exception handled by the driver, or retrieves the error number and respective messages for the database error. Get error code method, it retrieves the error number associated with the error or exception. And print stack trace, it's a method that prints the respective exception or throwable object and trails the actions taken based on a standard error stream. So you will have a try block in which you will write the JDBC code that may have some type of error. Catch block will catch the necessary exception here, and finally block, it is basically urgent message to be shown to the user. It may include a closing statement, connection and other executions. We go to the different types of data types in JDBC. So in SQL, we have a varchar data type, okay, variable characters. It could be a combination of number and a character. Varchar, there is integer, float, double and date. So these are the SQL data types. In Java, the equivalent of these data types in JDBC or Java are varchar can be considered as string, integer is nothing but int, float is nothing but float, double and date. In Java we have java.sql.date. Okay. Now for fetching these attributes and printing it on the screen, okay, what are the different set xx methods? So if it is string, you have set string method. If it is integer, you have set int method. Float has set float method. Double has set double method, and this has set date method. Similarly for update xx, we have update string, update int, update float, update double and update date. Now let us see how we can create a JDBC connection, how we can create a database, how we can establish a connection, JDBC connection to the database, and how your Java program can read the data from the database. Okay, now to do so, the JDBC application should include the following steps. 1. It should be able to import different packages. Second, it should be able to register the JDBC driver. It should commence a connection or establish a connection. It should generate a statement, then run a query, then take out the required data based on the result set. Finally, close the result set statement and connection, which is called as data cleaning. Now, for the students who are new to the databases, I will just give you a brief introduction of MySQL. So in this particular chapter, we are going to use a database called as MySQL database. So you can just go to mysql.com, dev.mysql.com. You can go to this particular link and you can download the MySQL installer, that is 8.0.27. Okay, you can download this. You will have to register with Oracle and you will download it for free. Okay, now once it is downloaded, okay, one has to install. So once this is downloaded, MySQL 5.7 is the flavor that I am going to use. Okay, so MySQL 5.7, you will have something called as MySQL Workbench. Okay, so now we will be accessing this MySQL through the console.